My wife told me she wasn't in love with me anymore. Then I found out she was secretly talking to her ex. Now, after catching their calls and planning to move in together, she's begging me to take her back. I'm 35 years old, and my 31-year-old wife stopped having any intimacy with me about 6 months ago. And I'm not sure what to do. We have 2 boys. One is 3 years old, and the other is 1.5. We are also in the process of building a house. I don't like watching the world burn, and I like to take action as soon as possible to address any difficulties. So I started a talk with my wife to figure out what transpired. I asked her, "Why did you stop speaking to me, hugging me and kissing me? Why did you get concerned about the contact of my hand on your body? Why did you stop having any type of closeness with me?" She was initially reluctant to speak. There was a difficult cover to breach, but she eventually opened up. What I discovered is that I'm not enough for her. She's doing everything alone, can't rely on me, and feels like she's wearing the pants around the house. She told me she makes all of the decisions and handles the kids on her own. She even stated, "You would be better alone." She mentioned that I'm an introvert, but not a die-hard one, among other things. It was upsetting to hear, but I accepted her words. I assured her I understood her suffering and promised to improve my behavior so she wouldn't have to worry about it. I love her so much that I'd rather agree than start a fight. However, I have my own thoughts, which occasionally prevent me from sleeping. A major red flag led me to this group. Her accusations are false, in my opinion, yet I honestly believe I meet the standards of a husband. I work from home for about 8 to 9 hours per day, but then I care for my boys. I play with them, feed them, take the older one swimming, put them to bed, and so on. I can also get up in the middle of the night if necessary. Aside from caring for the children, I help with housework. I do the dishes, grocery shopping, and some cleaning, but she likes to clean because I am not as efficient. I handle the car and other aspects of our new home. I do a lot to make her life simpler, and I know it's difficult with 2 little sons. The truth is, I'm not someone who is constantly proactive. Some folks can't sit on the couch for more than 5 minutes without thinking about what to do next, what to mend, what business to start, or what duties to complete. Her father is like this, but I am not. Once the kids are asleep, the work is completed, and the house is cleaned. I prefer to relax by watching a movie or playing video games. I am also not the sort to start my own business. I am skilled in my profession and prefer to be instructed what to do in order to do my tasks successfully. There are plenty of people like that, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't pursue a glamorous career. I don't imagine having millions in my bank account. I'm simply a regular guy, a good-looking one, who wants to have a healthy, happy family while earning a reasonable living. I knew she was having problems with that, despite having been happily married for 4 years and together for 5 years prior. The conversation happened in December. After that, I began to work against my personality, which resulted in some proactive effort, such as additional groceries and house repairs, basically not sitting on my butt in the evenings. There's no rest. She liked it, but it didn't improve her attitude toward me, so I had to initiate a second conversation. Given how she treated me, I questioned her from the outset. "Do you want to save the marriage?" She said, "I don't know." It was difficult to swallow, but in order to proceed, I asked her, "Do you want to go to marriage counseling?" She said, "I don't know." I continued, "It's not a moment to not know if our kids may have parents living separately soon." After hearing that, she agreed and I needed to get a therapist. She showed no interest in that. During our conversation, she revealed to me several sad truths, such as I married you simply to impress my parents and married sisters, so that we might have a large, happy family with beautiful children. I married you because I was fascinated rather than in love. I also learned that she had a meeting with her colleague clergyman to discuss our marriage. Anyway, I found a fantastic therapist, and we're approaching our 3rd session. We discovered that we have distinct love languages. I require touch. She needs work done. However, she hasn't touched me since we started counseling. No hugging. After the 2 sessions, I asked her whether she liked it and how she felt, and all she said was that she's uncomfortable sharing our personal information with an unknown stranger. When the therapist discovered we hadn't slept in the same room in 6 months, she was taken aback. My wife said that it is because she is sleeping with the children in the bed, and there is no room for me. The therapist responded that not allowing a husband in the bedroom sets a negative example for the children, and that if there isn't enough room on the bed, go to IKEA and buy a single bed and install it next to a larger one. I did exactly that. I bought it, put it together, and I'm currently sleeping there. Funny thing is, I still feel like I'm sleeping alone. She's far to the left, the boys are in the center, and I'm far to the right. My wife's testimony has altered slightly since the beginning of the issue. She began to express her depression as a result of spending so much time at home with her children. She informed me she said all of those things because she was overly emotional, etc. I would never say anything like that to her under any circumstances, but I guess I had to trust her. She recently returned to work, and we hired a nanny. The only change in her conduct is that we began to communicate, but I am more than just her friend. I am also her spouse, and there is no intimacy. There are no signs that things will improve. She doesn't care about the next marriage counseling appointments, so I have to keep arranging them. She informed me she doesn't need sex, and had only done it when I wanted it. I felt like an abuser. She was never into lovemaking. We had it once a week, which was okay with me. It could have happened more frequently, but it was fine. We've had sex twice this year, both out of pity. One was in early January to celebrate my birthday. Now it appears that I need to have a birthday to be laid. The other time was following a counseling session. She just lay there covering her chest and waiting for me to finish, which made me want it less. That is not what this is meant to be about. When I bring it up, she simply replies, "That's who I am. If you don't like it, simply leave me. I do not know what to do. Please advise." Update 1. There was one instance where my wife attempted to phone her ex-boyfriend 4 times in a row at 10 p.m. She didn't talk to him, but she attempted to contact him. I know this because we used to have an app that saved our 2 phone numbers and allowed me to see incoming and outgoing calls for both. After that I went crazy. Why does my wife contact her ex 4 times at 10 p.m.? I chose to check her texts on her laptop. I felt bad, but it was justified. We were married, had children, and she was acting strangely. After phoning him 4 times, she texted him, "I'm going to keep calling until you pick up and talk to me like a normal human being." When I asked her about it, she lied and said she wouldn't call him. So I showed her the app and her outgoing calls, where she had nothing else to do except admit that she attempted to contact him. I asked if she wrote to him after the call, and she responded no. Then I showed her the message she sent to him. She said that he had gotten drunk and called her, saying some nonsense. When she heard it, she ordered him to fuck off and hung up. Then she felt bad about it, and tried calling him 4 times because he didn't answer. Finally she wrote what she did and he did not respond. I'm not sure what to think about it. It happened about the time she stopped being intimate with me. Her perspective on the scenario is that it is neither strange nor awful, and that hiding it from me was not crucial to her. The point is, any communication with an ex is a terrible sign, and it is unacceptable to me. Is she cheating? We hadn't had any intimacy in 6 months, and then the calls came. Update 2. Thanks to everybody for your insights. At first I couldn't believe how many of you said she was cheating on me. It reminded me of science fiction, something I'd only see in movies. Maybe I thought my wife would never do something like this, but today everything changed. It became a fact. I feel stupid for being just another person in the circumstance, but I guess that's how life works. Now I know I promised to call her ex and speak with her family, but I decided to take a step back and keep it cool. Could you believe how simple that was? All I did was install a voice-activated recorder in our car, not a GPS. It was only there for 3 days. She took the car for work, then went to a workout and then called him. Or perhaps he called her. I'm not sure who called who, but I heard everything. It was a video conversation on the phone. I learned everything I needed to know about sex and our respective lifestyles. They talked as my wife and I did when we first met 9 years ago. The same attraction, jokes and so on. I haven't had this with her in a long time. They even discussed vacation plans. She wants to visit him in July. Wow. She offered him 2 years to move back to our country. I can't believe this. Now, after listening to an hour-long recording of this nonsense, I have some things to process. I need to meet with an attorney next week. All I wanted to say was thank you. You opened my eyes. If it hadn't been for you, I would never have purchased the blasted voice recorder. And to think I felt horrible putting it in the car. My God, I will keep you updated, but for now I need to relax and think about my children and what she has done. They started this in September of last year, and it took me 2 months to detect changes in her behavior. I will be caring for my elderly father in another city for the next week. Therefore, she will be unable to work for that time. Instead, she'll use my home office. This also indicates she'll most likely be speaking with him in the office. Should I store the recorder in the office for the next week or do I have enough? Update 3. It began in September of last year, and I've been out of the picture for quite some time right now. She doesn't want to spend any time with me in the apartment we rent. She always has an excuse, something to do visiting her parents. going to see her friends, etc. She even falls asleep or simply lies in bed after we put our children to bed, 1 and 3 years old. The recording says it all. She expresses her love for him, her desire to visit him and to have sex with him. They talk extensively about his personal life. She told him she wanted to go on a trip with him, and that she would marry him shortly. She even said she was leaving me. They talked about his preferred lovemaking position. So sure, they had sex. It is all there. The thing is, she has no idea that I know her entire family and circle of friends have no idea. They simply believe we are going through a brief crisis. She is one of 3 Catholic sisters and attends church every Sunday. We live in a tiny town with 20,000 inhabitants. We recently built a house, but it is not finished. I believe she will petition for divorce very soon. I can tell she is suffering with me in the apartment, and she can't take it longer. Her body language and absolute absence of discussion demonstrate this. She wants me to leave soon so that I can be gone for a while. And then within 2 years, the AP affair partner will relocate to the tiny town to live with her, and my 2 young sons in our home. In the recording, she says she gives him 2 years to return to our country. People will understand that she needs a father for her children, and will not object. The AP is her first boyfriend and they dated for 7 years before she married me. We have been together for 9 years. The AP lives abroad, but makes frequent visits to our country. I refuse to be played that way. I now have an attorney and we will meet with him soon to discuss this. I can basically ruin her reputation by giving people clips from the recording. Please provide me with any suggestions. What should I do if she served me papers? According to my attorney, my documents will require a month of preparation. I never imagined I would be dealing with a monster like this. Update 4: I visited with the attorney and got some important information. It turns out that destroying her universe would not be a wise decision. We have children and I'll be co-parenting with her for the next 15 to 16 years. Another reason is that I respect her family and do not want them to serve as witnesses in the divorce. Also, I would not gain custody of the children because they are young and need to remain with their mother in the tiny town, which is an hour away from me in the capital city. I'd be an every other weekend father anyway. Finally, I would not be able to sell our house because the children require adequate living conditions, and will not be able to find alternative housing. They are currently living on her father's farm, which is only temporary. As bad as it seems, this is the truth in Poland, Europe. Following our conversation, the attorney sent her the documents. They were scheduled to be delivered shortly after Easter. Easter is celebrated in Poland over 2 days on Sunday and Monday. I faked it all at the table and drinking helped a lot. Yesterday, Tuesday, I had a day off from work and was caring for my 1-year-old son. She went to work in the capital city, which is an hour away. In the interim, my brother assisted me in moving all of my belongings from the flat to his car. The postman delivered the divorce papers, which were actually an invitation to mediation, so that we could divide things civilly and divorce amicably. According to the article, she is in a relationship with this guy, which is why she is getting divorced. The evidence I have will be used as leverage when establishing child support, etc. When she entered the house, I informed her that I'd review everything. I have incontrovertible documentation. I am profoundly hurt by it, and she should call my lawyer. Then I handed her the divorce papers and left to visit her folks. Of course, she began to question what and how I knew, and she denied everything. Her parents were shocked, but they believed me. I documented everything as instructed by my counsel. It began with me asking if they thought I was a nice, caring husband and father. They agreed, and now she can't use them as witnesses against me in court. As I previously stated, they believed me and recognized that what she had done was horrific. She had devastated our lives as well as the lives of our children. I thanked them for their understanding, and headed to the capital. Meanwhile, I called a buddy who took care of delivering the news to her friends. 2 hours later, my brother-in-law called to tell me that she admitted to cheating on me with the AP affair partner, but she did not admit to having sex with him. He told me that everyone was on my side, and she had destroyed our family. He also informed me that her sister had visited my soon-to-be ex-wife and told her how nasty she is. But in the end, he claimed that all could be saved. He had cheated on his wife, she had forgiven him, and they were now happy. Then her father called and said that it was entirely her responsibility, and that she had no idea what she had done. He informed me that the AP would never enter his home, and that he would stop financially supporting my soon-to-be ex-wife. He even contacted the AP, but the individual did not answer. In the end, he expressed his belief that it could be salvaged. Finally, her other sister texted me saying she fully supports me, but feels it can be saved. I dislike that because I am certain it cannot be rescued. I'm concerned they'll cling to the fact that I don't have a love-making tape of them, and my reasoning will be insufficient to convince her to go. I have audio recordings of mom saying stuff like, "Make sure you'll last more than 3 seconds when I see you in Holland. And I wonder whether your dad's junk is the same as yours." You know what? I'll approach that woman and ask her how long your brother's crap is. Then tell her how long yours is. She also used phrases like "I love you." "I am planning to leave my hubby. Please record yourself and give me the video. Your favorite position is crappy style with a straight back. And I'm showing you what your life with me will be like. I'm giving you 2 years to relocate back here." All of this combined with her lack of emotion toward me during the last 7 months is proof enough for me. Furthermore, soon after the incident, she informed me that she would never stop loving him. This is more than adequate proof for me. What are your thoughts? Anyway, as many of you have previously indicated, she is currently crawling back after her family confronted her with everything. She's sending me texts like I had no idea what I was doing. "I can't picture life without you. I am deeply sorry for anything I have done. I'm waiting with the kids for your return." She also stated that she did not mean to inform me that she has always loved him. I'm not sure. They're making me feel like I rushed into the divorce, since I don't have a real lovemaking tape. They do not know everything. All they know is that I have proof, but she won't acknowledge having sex with him. It's plausible because he's in Holland, but he may have seen her here. Update 5. Many of you informed me that now that the papers had been served, she would begin crawling back to save her face in front of the family, and to get me back because she requires a lot of assistance with our 2 young boys. It happened. She began writing to me on Messenger, although not very frequently. All of the messages read the same. "I can't imagine my life without you. I love only you." She also sent images of our children and words stating, "We're waiting for you and love you very, very much." That is it. It has been 5 weeks and she hasn't contacted or visited me. She had numerous possibilities, including driving past my parents' house, where I currently live. Only Messenger texts appear infrequently. We also saw each other a few times while switching children, and she never tried to apologize or say anything, just a brief hi and bye. Her family began communicating with me much more regularly. Her father contacted me twice. Her mother emailed me a dozen links to Christian pages about forgiveness. And one of her sisters texted me apologizing and believing my wife has been possessed by an evil spirit. Her other sister explained how my wife had damaged our family, and that she did not expect me to return to her. My brother-in-law even stopped over and took me out for a beer. He wasn't attempting to be persuasive. He was simply discussing what had happened, and what might happen in the future if I didn't return. Sure, he wanted me to come back, but he wasn't forcing me. Essentially, all of these conversations were the same. "We can't believe she did what she did. We would like you to return to her, but we understand if you do not." However, the day came when I had made up my mind. My lawyer informed her lawyer that I had decided that I would not be able to forgive her in time and requested a divorce. My lawyer provided my terms, and we're currently waiting for her counsel to respond. While I waited for their response, her sister began criticizing me and telling me that I was going to wreck the marriage. She claimed unequivocally that it was my wife who started all of this by being selfish. But she is now very regretful, crying and wishing she could turn back time. Now it is my turn to be selfish, and I intend to end the marriage by divorcing her. According to her, it's all on me now, because I can resign the divorce and return it for the children. But she suggested I didn't even need to return to my wife, just raise my 2 sons. She told me how angry I am and how it will only become worse with time. She told me to just suck it up and keep living with my wife, framing this divorce as my revenge on her, but stressing that it is also retribution on our children. I can't understand it. Others had warned me that this would happen, that the circumstances would shift and her family would turn against me, but it still shocked me. For a moment today I felt horrible, as if it was all my fault, that my wife treated me like garbage for more than half a year, that she chose to abandon me physically and emotionally, and that she wanted to leave. So yes, they had a strong influence on me. It's incredibly difficult, but I won't change my mind. The divorce will occur. It appears that they now have a narrative, in which I am the guy who abandons the kids. I've been thinking about how to end this dispute by giving my terms for reconciliation, terms she's unlikely to accept. I don't love her, but I do it for the kids, whom I adore dearly. No marriage, only a relationship. Separate your finances. She leaves her hometown and moves with her children to the capital city where I live, GPS in the car till she stops driving in her old age. Daily phone checks. All after I finished my 7 months of dates with random girls. I would also not be afraid to cheat during the relationship and never tell her. If she finds out, it makes no difference because there is no marriage. I do not care. What are your thoughts? It's only a notion. Nothing serious. I probably won't do it anyhow, but I don't know what else to do to keep the family from accusing me of abandoning the children. In Poland, Europe, tiny children like ours must be near their mother in the event of a divorce. I can't have them since she lives in a tiny town, an hour distant from me. And the kids attend kindergarten and nursery there. We cannot divide custody 50-50. I'll be the every other weekend dad with full access. Anytime I choose. It's sad and unpleasant, but that's how it is. Update 6. It's been 2 months since I confronted her, gave her divorce papers and relocated to the capital city an hour away from the little hamlet where we used to live together. I currently live with my parents and sleep on the couch in their living room. And my clothes are hung on every chair around. I work from home for 8 hours, and then normally help my elderly parents who are 80 and 71 years old with household duties. I do their grocery and drive them to doctor's appointments. Apart from that, I go to the gym or the movies to get away from bad thoughts about what happened. I visit my children every weekend. She drops them off and I take them back. The weekends are fantastic and I find myself actually happy when I'm with them. I took a paternity test and the boys are mine. So there is no confusion there. The situation with the divorce terms is currently unknown. It's difficult to predict what will happen. Because I live with my parents. And as a father of 2 and a mature man, I don't have anywhere else to live. I want a large sum of money from my wife and she is taking over the mortgage for the house. She consented to the mortgage takeover, but only offered 1/3 of the amount I requested, citing her contribution to the house's construction. The thing is, I did not cause this circumstance. I'm not guilty and I need a place to live. When 1/3 of the sum I want will not help me buy a flat. So the discussion between our attorneys continues. She's offering me such a low price because she wants to keep the house. However, the last time we spoke, I learned that she may be forced to sell it. This is what she should have done since the beginning. She'll be unable to pay both the mortgage and me. We'll see how it goes. Other financial issues such as child support are also up for debate. She wants too much, and it must be agreed upon. She also argues that I should be the one to pick up the children from the little town and drive them home. By the end of the weekend, there will have been a lot of fuel and time spent. It should be her dropping them off and me driving them home. As you can see, she is responsible for everything, but she is also willing to argue about the conditions of the divorce. Her sister invited me to attend her daughter's communion last Sunday. I went to spend more time with my boys. Every family member is aware that my decision is definite. Therefore, they did not even attempt to talk to me about it. I basically took care of my boys while everyone else drank and ate at the table following the ceremony. However, at one point my wife questioned whether my decision was completely final. I glanced at her and said as gently as I could, "Yes, it is final and nothing will change it. I'm here now for my guys to spend as much time with them as possible." However, she went on to express her genuine shame and regret for what she had done. She informed me she stopped her relationship with the AP by going to an exorcist, telling him everything about the affair, and then leaving it in God's hands. To that, I said that I don't care about her priest. And if there's anyone she should be telling everything to, it's me. At that point it was just ludicrous. But I said, "Okay, if you're truly sorry, I'm here to give you one last chance to tell me the whole truth. Tell me how often you had sex with him." She said that she didn't. Then I asked her, "Do you remember that party you held with your work pals in November? Why did you rent a flat for the night, Airbnb, instead of staying at one of your friend's apartments?" After hearing it, she went paralyzed and couldn't say anything except, "Why do you need to keep torturing yourself with it?" I stated that if she was truly sorry, she would stop lying 2 months after I left her. This was just one example. I told her having sex over video chat is the same, and I knew she did it with him. She could not remember how many times she had done it with the AP. After that, I asked her, "How do you picture getting back together?" He started a conversation with me, then lied the next second. "Do you realize I'll be checking your phone every day? What are your thoughts about that?" She responded, "That would not be trust. It would simply be treating me as rubbish." Then our son intervened and the conversation was nearing its end. I ended with, "Remember, you didn't just cheat on me. You also cheated on our 2 adorable, wonderful boys." It ruined her. She began shrieking that this was the last time I told her something like that in front of our children. It's interesting because her sister has told me that my wife is hurting and crying every day as a result of all of this. It's a true two-faced woman sobbing in front of her family, while lying to me. She even stated that if she wished, she would join the AP and her family. I couldn't do anything about it, as if I should be grateful that she broke up with him, and is now in control of not being with him. So come on. I think I'm simply venting at this point and keeping you updated. Thank you all for your support. I'll be strong and end this mess one day. I believe my boys will want psychological assistance if things do not turn out nicely. The older one has been scared lately, but I will always be there for them. Update 7. Our attorneys finally reached a deal and the divorce will take place shortly. She has taken over the unfinished house and is now solely responsible for the mortgage. The house is for the kids and I don't want anyone to tell me later that I sold it as part of my revenge on her. Furthermore, I don't want to live in her small hamlet, which is an hour away from the capital city where I am currently. However, I am receiving what I put into it. And that amount is not awful at all. The child support amount is reasonable. And we agreed that she will drop the kids off to my residence in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just need to drive them back. Now I see my children virtually every weekend, but it's not enough for me. It causes me so much anguish that I can't take it sometimes. I simply cannot allow 1- and 3-year-old boys to grow up without a father, because of an unruly mother. I only wish I could have them, but it's not feasible due to Polish laws. I'll have to start driving there in the middle of the week or something to get by. As for her, she keeps texting me that she loves me, wishes she could go back in time and is suffering as a result of her actions each day. She softened to the point that she told me that she no longer considers checking her phone to be treating her as garbage, as she agreed and said I could do it all the time. She also said we may transfer from the tiny village to the main metropolis. She pledged to tell me everything about the affair. Every detail if I would accept her back. She came to see my parents and apologized. Something must have changed or someone must have informed her of something. She's now eager to do anything. And even displaying some guilt. The last time she messaged me, she said, "Thank you for not selling the house and ending the relationship amicably. Accepting the divorce is synonymous with agreeing to your terms. We'll have to agree in court, but let me assure you that it won't be true. I do not want this divorce and I adore you. I know you don't believe it. And I understand. But I want you to know that I hope to have the opportunity to prove my love to you someday. I adore you and I'm sorry for everything. There are no words to explain how much I regret everything. Things like those sway me and hinder the healing process. I'd be lying if I said her remarks didn't affect me. The idea of my boys growing up in the capital city rather than the tiny town is appealing. I know she struggles with being alone with 2 tiny boys. But she cheated and wrecked everything. I expected it to grow better with time, but the wound healed quite slowly. I shall remain the course. I'll end this. I'll update one day, maybe when I'm finally happy. What are your thoughts? Or do you believe my wife is sincerely sorry? She only agreed to tell me about her infidelity after I stated I might come back. Not right away. She didn't offer to let me check her phone immediately. She did not immediately volunteer to go to the metropolis from the tiny village. It took 3 months for her to demonstrate contrition. When she apologizes, she doesn't even contact or visit me. She does it over Messenger. Her entire family has now sided with her. Her mother calls me a narcissist and her sister claims that I only want to profit from the divorce and leave a lady with 2 young sons. I paid a brief visit to my children yesterday, and she invited me to spend the night. Naturally, I left. I'd appreciate any insight. Update 8 D-Day was April 7th. And here's how I feel after nearly half a year. In such complex scenarios, the same questions must be answered on a daily basis. In my case, the question is if I still love her. Could I go back to her solely for the children? Do I want to return to her little village to complete building the house? Would I be okay with myself in 5 to 10 years knowing what she had done? The answer to all of the inquiries is a resounding negative at this point. That is it. Yes, I adore my children and wish I could spend every day with them, but I cannot. I want to love her. But I can't. Even though she wants me back. I wish I could have that family back, but I cannot. I want to forget everything. But I can't. I even gave her a second chance, which included moving to my city with the kids to begin a new life. She didn't even agree, telling me that she has her family's assistance in the little town, and will not sell the house and she wants our children to have something in the future. When I informed her that family isn't the silly building, but a mother, father and children, she just shut up. This is when I realized there is no longer a us. There is no mutual agreement or middle ground in this. I mentioned that I would not continue living in the tiny town because that is where the affair began. When he observed her driving down the street and phoned her. I went on to say that I will not finish building a house 1 mile away from her AP's family home. And that I will not spend another day of my life worrying about meeting him someday. He lives abroad, but pays 2 to 3 visits to his family each year. The conversation then ended. I despise the little town. She does not wish to live in the capital. That is it. Here's an example of how she approaches things. We agreed that I would take the money I put into the house, and she would keep the building for the children. She now has an issue with this, because there is a clause in the agreement that specifies she cannot sell the house until the children reach 18 adults in Poland. Otherwise, she will have to divide the money she would receive from selling the house evenly between herself and me. She believes this is unjust because she intends to build the house with her own money. And if it is sold, I would receive half of the proceeds from a far more expensive finished house. When I asked her why she would consider selling it, she explained that she cannot anticipate what her life will be like. I can't trust her at this point, so I'm considering just selling the building. I can't bear the thought of selling the house I bought for my children. Update 9. She sent me a message today, asking for a response to her question. I'm asking you online because if I were to do it in person, we'd just shout at each other. You've told me who I am and what I've done, and you don't want to talk about it anymore. After all of this, do you want to forgive me? Put the past behind you and start over with your family? Or do you already know you don't, and will never be able to forgive me, and you'll never return to us? Please think about it, and let me know if you want our marriage back. What does this mean? I don't think she's in a position to demand that I be so detailed right now. I believe there is another person involved, and she wants to discuss the problem with me. I replied, I'm worth more than a messenger conversation, and we'll talk soon. I chatted to her. I laid forth my only 2 conditions for this marriage to last. Move to the capital city and cut all links with AP and his family. The second is obvious to her, but the first is an insurmountable impediment. She apologizes for her actions, but she refuses to relocate to Warsaw because we will never be able to afford a magnificent large house there. And even tiny apartments are prohibitively expensive to rent. She claims that our children have it easy in the tiny town. She just pays the bills for the flat she presently resides in because it is her father's property. In Warsaw, she would have to spend 4 to 5 times more for a smaller flat, bills and rent. She also has enough friends and family to visit with the kids after work. That is all true. I see the children are pleased, and it is handy for her. She claimed if we moved, only I would be thrilled about it. It would boost my ego. It's just a bad scenario since she's right. Her sister owns the small town's kindergarten, which we pay nearly nothing for. She simply put me in an impossible scenario to solve. Situation: I hold my ground. I will not live in the little town, but it does not make sense for them to relocate. In this scenario, we agreed that I would simply continue to visit and spend as much time as possible with the children. I will continue to take them to Warsaw every other weekend. She informed me she will not date anyone else and will only wait for me, and that I will see for myself in the future, that she will remain single. I find it difficult to believe, but I don't really care. Maybe it's good since the kids will just have me as a father figure, rather than some random guy. During our chat, she said several things that demonstrated that she is not a remorseful person. When I asked why she hadn't phoned me once during our separation, and had just texted me, she stated she didn't have time with 2 kids running around the house. She stated that she will never discuss the affair again, and will not provide me with any other information if I inquire. She is done with it, and will not discuss anything else with me, because I informed her family some information she did not want me to share with them. She informed me that the AP had been writing to her for many years, and that she had always rejected him, but when he wrote last year, she chose to start an affair with him due to my passive approach. I immediately told her what she said was very horrible, and she rolled her eyes and said, "You're only thinking about yourself. You are the only poor guy in this." Update 10. I've learned to live alone with little time with my children, and now I want to date again. Actually, I began using dating apps some time ago. I get a good number of matches, and arranging up a date with a nice woman is no problem. In general, I had 2 to 3 short-term relationships that had to terminate since I was always busy with the kids when they wanted to meet. Every other weekend is completely off, although I wish they were longer. I always lied about having a meeting or whatever, and they saw it as a lack of interest on my part. The trouble is, how can I navigate this? For the time being, I don't tell new girls that I'm almost divorced with 2 children. I discovered that the only way for the second or third date to occur is to avoid exposing this too soon. Is there a solution to this? Is there any chance a girl would stick with me if I gave her the truth from the start? Has anyone experienced a similar situation? I don't necessarily want to be in a serious relationship right now, but I hope to be in one in the future.